Hi, I wanted to make a little video to talk a little bit about how in the grief recovery method we view guilt. As you know, in the grief recovery method, we always remind one another to always tell the truth about yourself all the time. It's actually written again down here at the bottom of our screen. Without truth, there's no way to achieve emotional completion about the pain that we have suffered. And guilt is one of those things where sometimes we get a little confused about what is really true and where telling the truth really helps us. I'd like to tell you a true story that I have permission to share. This is a home. This is a grocery shop, a little grocery shop. And one day, a colleague of mine was home visiting her parents, her adult parents. She's about 30 years old. Her parents are in their 50s and they're happily married and everything's fine at home. And this morning, Dad says to Mom, "Hey, dear, I just noticed yesterday that they finished construction on this brand new pedestrian crossway right next to your favorite food store. I know that usually you like to get out of the door and go to the right and walk across this terrible, dangerous intersection. You know how I worry about you when you cross this terrible intersection to get to your favorite store. Well, you know what, dear? You don't need to do that anymore. Why don't you today, when you get to the end of the drive, go to the left and you'll see this brand new pedestrian crosswalk, perfectly safe, and you can get to your shop that way. What do you think?" The wife says, "Oh, how wonderful. I had no idea. I will definitely do that." Well, later that day, tragically, the wife dies. Guess where she meets her death? Yep, right here on the pedestrian crosswalk. She was hit by a truck, killed instantly. And how do you think her husband feels? Who said to her that morning, "Why don't you go this way and cross at the pedestrian crosswalk," where in fact she dies that day. He feels incredibly guilty. We can all understand that. But let's stop for a moment and look at the actual definition of guilt. You can look it up in any dictionary. The definition of guilt actually is the intent to harm. Did this husband have any intent to harm his wife? No, of course he didn't. He had only the intention to protect her, to love her, to guard her, to make her life better, to please her. And a tragedy took place. He is not guilty of her death. However, that is what he tells himself every day to this day. If only I hadn't spoken. I am guilty. I caused my wife's death. Now, did he cause his wife's death? We actually have no way of knowing. If he had not said anything, she might have died anyway on the other side of the store. The same truck might have gotten her there. We have no idea. We'll never know that. And sadly, that's one of the hardest things. That sometimes is what makes it so difficult for grievers to complete their grief. And they think that they need the facts, they need this closure. Really, all they need to do is speak the truth, express their truth, and take responsibility for what they can. He can never be complete if he continues to live in this untruth. He cannot take responsibility for something that's not true. It's not his fault. He is not guilty for the death of his wife. He meant no harm. He had no intent to harm. He intended only goodness. Now, sometimes we do have an intent to harm. Those of you that have heard my relationship graph with my mom, there was a moment there where I absolutely intended to harm her. When I was a teenager, I screamed at her and I said, "I hate you. You should have been the one to die instead of Dad." I did intend to harm her. I am guilty. I feel guilty and I am guilty. Okay, so that's my truth. I need to apologize for that. What's my action? How do I complete that? I need to apologize. What do I wish had been different or better or more? I wish I had never said that. I wish I had been kinder to my mom. I wish I had had empathy for my mom. I apologize for being so selfish, so insensitive, so focused only on my own pain. I was oblivious to your pain, Mom, and I apologize. I'm ashamed of myself and I apologize. That's appropriate. This poor man, unfortunately, can never be free of his pain because he keeps telling himself misinformation and he's stuck. If he could tell the truth and say to his wife, I apologize for what I said, and I just miss you so much. Significant emotional statements. I only wanted to protect you. I want only the best for you. I'm devastated that you're gone. If he tries to go for something that's not true, he'll never feel at peace. He'll never feel complete. So guilt is a slippery thing. It's elusive a little bit for us. I'm the type of person that feels guilty very easily. I accuse myself all the time of things. Another good example with my mom. I wish that I had gone home when she got her terminal cancer diagnosis. I wish I had gone home sooner and been with her earlier. I feel terrible that she faced all those scary chemotherapy treatments and doctor's appointments and everything all by herself. I'm her closest relative. I'm her only relative. There was no one else to go with her. I could have driven her. I could have supported her. We could have made it fun as best as you can, right, in those situations. But I didn't. I was wrapped up in my life. I didn't go. Did I have intent to harm her? Absolutely not. No. I wanted only the best for her. I wanted just to comfort her. I wanted to express to her that she's going to make it. Everything's going to be okay. I'm proud of her. I never wanted to harm her by staying away. The truth is, I was insensitive. I was selfish. I regret that and I apologize for being so wrapped up in myself. But I'm not guilty of intending to harm her by staying away. And so for me to become complete with what was wrong, what was painful with all of that, I also need to be honest. I can't change the past. I can't do it over. I can speak the truth now, though. And I can apologize, which essentially, every apology that I make, it's essentially forgiveness coming back towards me. I acknowledge I'm in need of forgiveness and I'm going to accept it. It's a choice. It's a decision. It doesn't have anything to do with feelings. I might still feel heavy, burdened, sad, regretful. I might still feel those things. I can still take this action and apologize. Acknowledge the forgiveness coming back my direction and let go of resentment. Let go of the burden. Let go of the pain that I can continue to inflict upon even myself. So there are some thoughts about how to look at guilt and guilty feelings.